Now, when I consult with surgeons about his or her practice, we end up talking about each staff position. However, when I ask about their patient care coordinator, oftentimes the surgeon's hesitant in answering. They're just not sure about their coordinator. They may be moody or their attendance may be spotty. They have issues with the other staff, their numbers are sporadic, and they blame it on everyone and everything except themselves. So in this video, I'm going to show you how to hire a great coordinator because they can be an absolute game changer for you. They can turn things around quickly, and that can make your life so much easier because you've got this piece of your practice handled. Now, when you see their results, you get a renewed passion for practicing, and then you're just more excited to go to work because you're not just doing consults all day that are going nowhere. You're actually working together as a team to convert these consultations to paid procedures. I mean, nothing else counts until a patient says yes and gives you a credit card. So, what you're looking for in a great coordinator is peace of mind. Peace of mind that they're going to keep you busy and profitable. Because here's the downside. The wrong coordinator can be sabotaging your livelihood unknowingly because they're just not the right fit. Perhaps you had a great coordinator who quit for whatever reason, so you promote the next person up like your receptionist who has no clue what they're doing, nor do they have the mindset for it. So what happens now is you've got a mishire. By the way, the stats show that mishires cost you something like 25 times their base compensation just because of all the wasted time and money that goes into that. Now, the drama ensues because you've got maybe the right people on the bus, but you've got them in the wrong seats. Or maybe they shouldn't be on the bus at all, so no one's being as productive as they could be. And the question is, but how do you know? Well, it's the big question. How do you know if you've got the right coordinator? Surgeons often say the same thing. I have a feeling this is not the right person for the job, but I'm just not sure. Now, we all have that gut feeling, but why don't we listen to it? Or we listen to it, we hear it, but we don't act on it. But here are a couple other signs. There's just a lot of bad energy going on in the practice, and it all seems to be coming from the coordinator. Or you're hearing staff complaints about the coordinator, but you're not acting on them or following up on them. Or let's say you had a talk with your coordinator and she has explained to you all the excuses of why she can't do her job correctly, why the patients are awful, or the patient leads are terrible, or you're not doing enough marketing, and it goes on and on. She takes a zero responsibility for her lack of results, and that's always a good indication that something's off. Or if you've got a coordinator who's moody and you're walking on eggshells, oh, for heaven's sake, she has to go. You're running the show, and you and the rest of the team don't need that negativity. However, the worst scenario is the coordinator who's actually super friendly and they're happy, but they're completely ineffective. And that's even more dangerous because they blindside you more or less. They're so easy to work with and they're fun to be around that you don't even realize they can't do the job as well as it needs to be done. So here's my advice. You really want to handle this by repositioning that person, or you may have to free them to work somewhere else where their assets are more needed than in your practice. But don't wait any longer when dealing with a mishire because it just gets worse. It brings everyone down, and it's just not fun to go to a practice where you know something's wrong, but you're just not taking care of it. So please, let that person go so you can hire a killer patient coordinator. Now, here are the steps to do that. Step number 1, get really clear what you want in a coordinator and the tasks you expect them to do. Now, here's an exercise to help. Think of the best employee you ever had and what made them the best. For example, they were loyal, honest, reliable, smart, and so on. Now do the opposite. What characteristics did your worst employee have? Examples would include bad attitude, unreliable, dishonest, and so on. Now use this as a checklist when evaluating applicants. Now for a patient coordinator, you want somebody that has killer cosmetic service skills and they're focused on results. They also have integrity, a great work ethic, and they take initiative. You can't train these characteristics. It's got to come from within. So you're trying to find those character attributes during this process. Now the next step is to figure out what you're willing to pay. And this is where I see it go both ways. You either overpay on the hire and now you're pissed off that you're paying them too much and they're not delivering like you want, or you underpaid And then you get this mediocre applicant or staff that you're not happy with. So to help decide on pay, you could go to Indeed.com or Glassdoor.com or Salary.com to get an idea of what your area pays for that position. You could also just ask the applicants what they're paid now and what they want. But you just never want to overpay on hire. Really good people who are confident in their abilities are more than happy to be paid on future productivity as well. Now, it's normal in our industry to give the coordinator a base that is enough to pay bills, but not enough to satisfy them. So you add an incentive for when they go above and beyond their set quota. Now, that could be 1 to 3% of revenues collected, or a flat fee of, say, $100 for every surgery or big ticket procedure booked above and beyond the set quota. Now, a lot of good people get into this industry because they love looking good and feeling great. So you can also use free or discounted services to negotiate with. And the A players are oftentimes looking for more than just money. They're looking for a great opportunity where they can grow, learn, and flourish in a really positive environment. Then be clear about what your vision and your values are and where you want to take your practice, because you want to hire those core values in others. I'm just generalizing here, but here are some examples. Your core values could include integrity, profitability, patient safety, superior customer service, and teamwork, because you're striving to be a 5-star practice versus a 3-star. You get excited about enhancing and transforming lives. You value anticipating needs of the patients, so you're one step ahead of them. You have a desire to learn and grow, and you want to be the busiest and the best. And by the way, if you don't have a mission statement that you live by for your practice, I highly recommend you and your team get together and make one up. Now, I'll just throw this one out for you that gives you an idea. Our mission at Best Cosmetic Surgery is to help bring out your best so you enjoy life with confidence. Now, our friendly staff is as committed as Dr. Smith himself to making your experience with us as rewarding and enjoyable as possible. We start every day with the expectation that we will delight you with superior personal service in a friendly and relaxed environment. All I'm saying is, when you have something like this and you add that to your processes, you're going to get applicants who resonate with that, and they're hearing you loud and clear. Now it's time to write the ad. Now, you really need to write a really great ad, just like you would write direct response ad copy. It has to attract the right person and detract the wrong people. And by the way, the ads I write, and I'll give you an example of one here, my ads are fairly long, and I usually get complaints that I'm expecting too much. And I like that, because that means the mediocre people are offended by the ad, but the killer overachievers love the growth and the challenge of the ad. So I hope you hear me on that one. I'll just give you a brief part of the ad that I would write. Sales and patient coordinator for high-end plastic surgery practice. I'm saying the word sales on purpose. Are you confident, friendly, caring, reliable, and resourceful? Do you have empathy and the ability to connect easily with others? Do you have a great work ethic, a positive attitude, and exceptional communication skills? Do you love a challenge and working together as a team to be the best? If so, keep reading. We're looking for a full-time Uber patient care coordinator who enjoys sales to join our team. Now, our plastic surgeon is highly acclaimed, respected, and well-known in the community, as well as the medical industry. Now, this is a high-end plastic surgery practice with an exceptional reputation for quality, results, and impeccable 5-star customer service. Now, our surgeon has performed more than 12,000 surgical procedures in the past 15 years, and he's ready to take his practice to the next level, so we need a consultation converting rock star. Now, here's a short list of what is expected from you in this position, and then you just write out what is expected. For example, act as the aesthetic advisor to help the prospective patient comfortably go through their surgical journey. Promote the surgeon strategically as the best choice. Increase consultation conversion rates by 30% and so on. And training is included. Now, do you see how specific that is? You also need the coordinator to follow up via phone, email, and text with those who did not convert to a procedure. Assist in marketing efforts to attract more patients and deliver weekly progress reports with statistics. Now, there's another section called the responsibility of the coordinator. You have to be so specific in today's world of what your expectations are, so there's no confusion down the road with them saying, well, I didn't know that's what you wanted me to do. So You have another short list that includes what dollar amount you expect them to bring in monthly. They are required to learn and use your practice software. They have to schedule all pre and post-op appointments. They have to schedule surgeries. They have to prepare all pre-op information and assist with answering phone lines, especially if you have heavy phones. They have to know that they are to pitch in when the team needs them. They also have to be a quick learner, well-rounded, and tech-savvy. So I always add that by saying you must pick up quickly on technologies such as Microsoft Office Suite and/or your scheduling software and other software programs. They would be open to learning. So here's the next step. And this is where I add a gate. I need them to jump through hoops to make sure that they're detail-oriented and they've got the tenacity to go through their steps because they really want the job. We don't want the person who's just answering every ad flippantly. We want the person who really looks at this ad and says, whoa, they're looking for a hotshot and that's me. So I ask them to provide a 100-word description about why this position appeals to them. And if they don't do it, that means they either didn't read the whole ad or they just didn't bother doing it. So that's something to consider since you're looking for clues to who is and is not a good candidate. And then add additional questions that are important, but not as important as the character, such as how many years of plastic surgery experience do you have? How many years of high-end sales experience do you have? Have you completed the following level of education? And then go with the least, maybe an associate's degree or preferably a bachelor's degree. Now, oftentimes they won't have plastic surgery experience, but they do have something comparable like cosmetic dentistry or high-end retail experience. Even if they don't have experience, but they have excellent people skills and they're hungry to learn, I would hire character any day over experience, since you can always learn cosmetic rejuvenation, but you can't learn how to connect with people. Now, the next step is to get the word out, and that depends on your location. Indeed.com has been the go-to website, and now we have ZipRecruiter, a big competitor. You can also check out LinkedIn. You can do posts on Instagram, and even run ads on LinkedIn and/or Instagram to see what comes up. And display in-house signage and mention to your current patients you're expanding and looking for a new coordinator. So do they know of anyone? Offer your current staff a finder's fee if they know of anyone who would be a good addition to your team. And for sure, ask your vendors, since they're the feet on the street, so they know everybody and they know people who are coming and going and who's in, who's out. So I would always start there. And then in your own meanderings around your community, think about the service providers that take super good care of you when you're either at a local restaurant or a high-end retail store or any other service providers you go to. You can always not poach them, but maybe they're ready for a career change. And I guess it is poaching them, but because the best people are always the employed people. Now, I know one surgeon who actually poaches his coordinators and his staff from the local Equinox Health Club. Now, it's a very high-end health club, and they're very well trained, so be creative with where you're looking for somebody. Because once you understand who you're looking for, now your radar will be up for that, and you will find them in sometimes unlikely places. Now, here's the best part. You are no longer going to get 200 applications coming in. You're going to get a lot less. The way I write the ad, it dramatically decreases the response, but increases the quality. But here's the thing. Some of them do not go through the hoops. Not some, most of them don't go through the hoops. They either don't do the cover letter I asked for or don't answer the questions completely, so they're out. But if they do what is asked, then your staff should be calling that applicant to cover the basics. So they're very clear, this is a local position, they're not going to work virtually, they have to commute every day, so how far do they live and do they have a car? Are they currently working? When are they going to be available? If you want them to work some evenings or Saturdays, is that going to be an issue? Those are really specific housekeeping questions. Now get clear about the pay, get clear about the benefits. You don't want to even bother if they didn't even read well enough to know all of that. Or you just want to make sure they're clear about the basics before you spend any more time on them. Now, if that goes well, then they do another call with either your manager or some other key staff person, and that person can get a little deeper and ask about their career goals. What was the best job they've ever had? The worst job they've ever had? Who was their favorite boss and why? Who was their least favorite boss and why? You're trying to figure out whom they like to work with and what characteristics in a boss they need. Then ask more questions such as, what are you really good at and what don't you like to do? You're always trying to get them to talk and tell you a lot more. So right now, you're still in the stages of asking a lot of questions and letting them talk. And then ask them what questions they have for you. Now, hopefully they ask something more important than how many days off do I get? Because that's not a good indicator of an A player. I would rather they ask a question like, what exactly are you looking for in a coordinator? So if all goes well with that call, ask them for a 1-minute selfie video on their cell, recording a quick message, answering the question, why I'm great for this position, and then have them text it to you. Now, you'll get a better feel for them, and it also shows how tech savvy and how confident they are in doing that. If somebody won't do that, that's a deal breaker because you need somebody who will play by your rules and put in the effort to get the job, since they're going to need that tenacity to be a successful coordinator. Then you want to reach them online. Now, in today's world, we do have social media, the good and bad of it. So I just Google their name, state, city, and see what comes up. They might have some crazy off-hours interests, and you just want to know that up front. By the way, if they tell you their social media is private, ask them to give you access. If they don't, it's just something to consider. So things have popped up like mugshots. Yes, we had an applicant that popped up on mugshots.com, and it turns out she was harassing her ex-husband's girlfriend, and she was posting the girlfriend on Craigslist and offering to solicit sex for money. It was bad. So you just want to know that kind of stuff way before you invite these people into your practice. Now, if all goes well, it's time for a face-to-face interview. So your office manager or some key player that you really trust meets with them and asks them lots more questions to get them talking, and ask the same questions to be sure their answers are consistent. For example, what was a major obstacle you had to overcome? What's an accomplishment you're most proud of? How do you alleviate stress? What do you think about our website? They better have looked at your website, right? So what have you done in the past to grow a practice? And then that same question, what questions do you have for me? And I really hope they have a really good question other than, what time do you eat lunch? And if that goes well, you, the doctor, could meet with them briefly to reiterate your vision and what you expect from that position. Or just ask them really open-ended questions or statements such as, tell me about yourself. That's going to put them on the spot, and they're going to have to think on their feet, and that's what you want. If you have somebody who's confident and they can answer that question gracefully, they'll probably be the same when talking with prospective patients who ask them difficult questions. Then I would actually have them come back again to meet everybody. Now, one thing I've learned is when you force a new team member on your team, there can be some resistance because they didn't have any say-so. So I would have them come back and even spend a half a day or a full day with the team and walk around with each of the positions and just shadow them. Pay them to do that, but that way everyone on your team has an opportunity to put in their 2 cents if they got a good feeling or they didn't. You can miss some things that your staff people will catch. Females especially can sniff out other females easily. So I would make this a team effort, and they'll be much more open and accommodating to help this person when they come on board, when they've been part of the process. Now, your staff can even have lunch with them. I find that when you have a meal with somebody, they start to relax, and that's a good idea because they might be talking a lot more and start opening up about things going on in their life. Maybe they're not stable with their living arrangements or their relationship. It's those kinds of things you're looking for because you don't need the drama. You're looking for a key player who's grounded in themselves, in their lives, in their future, and they're looking for a great place to land for the long term. So the last thing I would do is rate their math skills, because this position works with lots of numbers. You might also want the key candidates to complete a personality test. They're just another tool to help you. For example, there's Myers-Briggs or there's Colby.com. So for Colby, for $50, you just sign up online and give them a link to take the 15-minute test, and then their results are automatically emailed to you. And here's the point of Colby. It breaks down to only 4 factors that are fact finder, follow through, quick start, and implementer. And then they explain what all that is. For example, somebody like you who built their own practice from scratch is typically a quick start, which means you're really good at starting a project, but usually terrible at finishing it. For the coordinator position, you're looking for a high score in follow through and implementer, because they need to get to the finish line, which is converting consultations. There's even a test from wealthdynamics.com to test someone's money mindset. Now, some coordinators are afraid of money, and they're afraid to talk about money. Some wouldn't dream of spending their own hard-earned money on cosmetic rejuvenation. Now, if that's the case, they are just not the right fit for this position. You need somebody who really understands the value of transformation and is not afraid to ask for thousands of dollars. Okay, if all of that goes well, you want to call their references. By the way, here's my tip. Your staff should be calling the references that they list. However, if they've worked for other practices or businesses in the area, I think the surgeon should be talking to the surgeon or the other owner. You should give them a call and say, I'm thinking about hiring them. Can you please give me your thoughts? And oftentimes they'll be honest with you and they'll tell you, here were the pros, here were the cons of this person, because you want to get as much intel as you can from reputable sources. Now, if you feel good about this, if your staff feels good, if it all feels good, you want to give them an employment offer letter, but literally state the same details that you did in the ad in this letter, and then you both sign it. That means you're setting the expectations for both of you. For example, who you're looking for, the tasks you need them to perform, and the results you expect. That way, there can be no confusion down the road when they say, I didn't know that's what you wanted me to do. Well, yes, you did, because it's in writing and you signed it. And then add a 60 or 90-day probationary period, because you always want to have an out just in case this was a mishire after all. You want it to be easy to get out of it. So look, the whole point is to hire slow so you get the right person on board for the long term, so you don't have to go through this again for a while.
The fastest way to success is to model other successful surgeons who have what you want, but you can only see their results, not the path they took to get there. So you continue to jump from one thing to another, hoping to find something that will work for you too. But it rarely does. So try this shortcut instead. It's guaranteed to move you forward. I compiled my intellectual property to grow cosmetic revenues, everything I've gleaned over the years, into one playbook of the most successful practices and what they do to win. Go to cosmeticpracticevault.com and let's grow your cosmetic revenues.